Uh, all right, so we are now recording. All right, what's going on, people? Joseph Watkins here with Erik M, Josh B. What's going on, guys?
What's going on?
All right,
I'm not a whole lot, just chilling.
got you. All
Good,
right,
good answer.
word. So today, ladies and gentlemen, this is a special edition of RGN 99. What we're doing, ladies and gentlemen, is paying tribute to Akira Toriyama. Um, this isn't usually one of our big major episodes, but we have to give a shout out to a pioneer who created characters that gave us not only life on screen, but life in our everyday lives and abilities. Um,
Facts.
what I'm saying? He was, I would like to say, the world's Disney. He was the world's Walt Disney. And since
Mm.
anime came out before Disney anyway, it's rightfully so that I feel, if anything, Akira Toriyama deserves a special place in the world for what he's created. And as such,
Facts.
I got a Dragon Ball Z shirt on. Um, I'm gonna let Josh. I'm gonna move it over to Josh because all of us have a nice little tribute to what he wants to say.
Well, yeah, I wrote about it on Reason 99, which you can see for yourself. But the long and the short of it is that Akira Toriyama was a big influence to me when I was growing up. He was Dragon Ball and Dragon Ball Z was the gateway into anime for me. Um, that like outside of Pokemon, which I didn't really consider anime because it was more like a cartoon for me. Um, every time I would go out to the video store with my dad, I would always beg him to get me one of these Dragon Ball Z DVDs. And this isn't even all of them that I have. This is just like a selection of them. And every single time I would have to beg him because he hated my dad didn't understand anime, still doesn't, is not a fan. So it was always a fight to convince him to part with some of his money for something he didn't like. And
Mm.
so, that this was back when I was like anywhere from 7 to like 10 years old, of course. I didn't have my own money. And back when these DVDs had like 3 episodes on them, being a fan in the 2000s was a little rough.
Tell me about
At
it.
least on your wallet. Um,
Word, word.
and then, even before that, you got the original Dragon Ball series here, which I picked up and I watched over and over again until the discs broke. Um, but you got Dr. Slump, which I never really watched, but it's always one of those things that I kept meaning to get around to, and now that Toriyama's passed, I feel like I owe it to myself to look at it. But the biggest thing that well the rather the most important piece of Toriyama that I have in my collection is the first volume of Dragon Ball. Now that's now looking at it, it's not really that impressive. It's just the first volume of Dragon Ball. But I actually picked this volume up in Japan when I visited
Nice.
there when I was 13 years old. Uh, and I,
Nice.
I know a few things about. I knew how to speak Japanese, but I didn't know how to read it. So this was one of the only things. This was one of the only things that I had in Japan that was like an anchor back to America for me, and that helped reorient me. But more than that, in life, uh, just watching Dragon Ball Z really got me drawing, over and over and over again. I would try and draw characters from Dragon Ball or new forms of Goku or Vegeta or things of that nature. And that's all I would do during recess was just draw over and over again. And, while most people would be just playing at recess, I'd be in the corner drawing. But oddly enough, that's how I made some of my first friends, was people who saw me drawing and came up to me and just started watching and talking to me about Dragon Ball, and that's how I made some of my first friends.
Appreciate that.
Nice.
Eric, what you got?
I mean, what can I say? Dragon Ball and Dragon Ball Z, even Dragon Ball GT, were the anime that, for the most part, got me into anime and manga. It was just something poetic about the story, the fight scenes, the characters. Goku, Vegeta, Gohan, Piccolo, Krillin, Tien, Yamcha, Chaozu, Bulma, Trunks, Goten. Like, so many amazing characters. I mean, not even just like the one particular characters. I mean, Future Trunks. I mean, Android 17, 18, 16, Cell, Frieza, Majin Buu. Just one banger character after another. And they all come together to create this phenomenal series. And every episode, as a kid, you coming home from school, you watch Toonami or wherever on, you're online, or you're with your brother or your sister, your cousins, your friends. You're all like watching this go unfold, and like you guys talk about it afterwards. Like, growing up, that was my childhood. Like, me and my friends, like, every time a new episode dropped, we would talk about it the next day. And I think I speak for all of us when we were all little kids, when we all tried to do the same thing as Goku, try to turn Super Saiyan during recess. That was also some phenomenal time, because like we was so engrossed in it. Like, you wanted to do the same thing. Like, I know for a fact we all did the Kamehameha way as kids. Like, I know for a fact that was something we all tried to imitate, because it was just so impactful and so influential and just so. I'm sorry, I lost my words there, but overall, Dragon Ball Z definitely became the gateway anime for me, because then it opened the doors for me to see other shows like Naruto and Bleach and One Piece, amongst so many others amazing stories that would come afterwards. Dragon Ball was, in fact, that story that forever cemented my love for this craft. And I don't want to be randy on, but the Super Saiyan transformation to this day will always be the most iconic transformation, not just in the series, but in anime itself, because it became the gateway that allowed so many other artists to develop their own craft. I mean, the golden locks to this day will forever be cemented in anime history. And, for me, even as I'm 31 years old now, I still love rewatching some of the most iconic scenes in Dragon Ball, because, again, that was my early childhood, just being able to experiencing that and just really bring about like just happy moments in our lives. Because let's face it, as we enter adulthood, challenges take place, struggles happen. Unfortunately, stuff happens in life where it's not always sunshine and rainbows, and that's just the reality of it. But Dragon Ball Z still established that hope that no matter what threat Goku and the Z-Fighters faced, whether it was Frieza, whether it was Cell, whether it was Majin Buu, whether it was Beerus the Destroyer, there was always a silver line of hope in the end, that no matter what obstacle Goku faced, whether it was a new transformation, whether it be the Ultra Instinct or wherever, like, Goku will always find a way. And he represented the hope that no matter how hard it gets, things are going to be all right. So for me, Dragon Ball was that hope that gave me the strength to push forward. And Akira Toriyama is just the GOAT for that. He inspired generations, well, millennials, Gen Z, and even the next generation going forward. Like, he inspired all of us to be better, and Goku to this day will continue to inspire us for generations to come. So words really can't describe how I feel, because I can go on all day, but just for the most part, this was just the anime and the manga that forever cemented just pure greatness, that anything that comes afterwards, just have Akira Toriyama to thank for that. So that's just how I feel about the whole Dragon Ball franchise.
All right. Rich, what's going on? We have one of our other writers, Rich. Rich, what's going on, sir? How's everything?
Nothing much. I'm doing all right. How about you?
I'm good. I'm good. All right. Rich, can you please, how did Akira Toriyama affect your life?
Well, yeah, I don't think I would be into like half of the stuff that I am into today if it wasn't for Akira Toriyama. I think, yeah, I mean, yeah, Dragon Ball was my kind of gateway into anime as well. Like, it technically wasn't the first one I've seen, but it was the first one that really got me into it. First one I think I saw was technically like Speed Racer, or this movie called like Little Nemo, not
Yo!
Finding Nemo, Little Nemo. But
Oh yeah,
but
Little
yeah,
Nemo.
but Dragon Ball was the first one that I got into, and I think it was just crazy because I think like most cartoons growing up, like at least the ones I watched, like they all kind of seemed to like they never really continued where the last one left off. But Dragon Ball Z was the first one that like really directly continued it. I'm like, wait, cartoons continue. I knew there was other ones, but that was the first one I at least saw. But yeah, no, I think it's just like the design, the characters just looked really cool. Um, the fight scenes were just like insane. I think they were just always so much more, I think, over the top, just more over the top and flashy than like kind of a lot of like, I guess more Western cartoons did. Like I was always more into that than I was like, more so than Marvel and DC, at least, back then more so. And I'm still really into Dragon Ball today. I actually love all the series. I like, well, Dragon Ball, the original, I never got into as much, but Z, GT, Super, the movies, I love them all. And I think it just, yeah, I think like, I mean, I'm not a huge artist, but I think the couple of times I have trying to like draw on things or kind of come with characters, I feel like there's at least a little bit of like Dragon Ball Z that kind of leaks into it, like the hair or like the armor or something like that. And I think like the games, like, or most of the games at least, like, I think I played them more than some like non-licensed and some non-licensed video games. So yeah, I mean, I don't know what else more to say. Like,
I got you. I got
it's
you, bro.
responsible for a lot of stuff that my identity and all.
Appreciate it. All right. Being that this is not our usual format and we're limited on time, one question. Favorite moment in the Dragon Ball Z, Dragon Ball GT, Super, favorite moment in the series? Who would like to take this one first?
I'll go first then. For
Gotcha.
me, wow, it's gonna be a tough one. You know what? I'm gonna say honestly, when Vegeta made his sacrifice attack against Majin Buu, and when he was Majin Vegeta, he told Piccolo, "Hey, take my son and go and get him away from here. I'm gonna stop Majin Buu." And just overall, Vegeta's redemption arc has just been a phenomenal aspect of Dragon Ball. To this day, like I think very few other characters have not been able to replicate, have tried to replicate Vegeta's redemption, but to this day, Vegeta has to me the best redemption of any anime prior antagonist turned protagonist. Just that sacrifice just cemented that Vegeta's growth as a person, that he's no longer the same tyrant he once was. So to me, that was just like forever be cemented as one of my favorite moments.
Josh?
Well, probably my favorite moment, at least that I could tell you, would probably be the conclusion to the fight with Kid Buu, where they use the spirit bomb, and just everybody on planet Earth comes together, and it's all facilitated by Hercule, Mr. Satan, the character that's been a joke up until that point. He's the one that gets everybody to believe in Goku and to work together. I thought that was great. And just the entire Kid Buu saga to me is very important because again, it was like the first time I was able to like assemble like a coherent story on DVD. Like the first time I was able to get like the whole arc and be able to watch and rewatch it over and over again.
Gotcha. Rich?
Oh, that's a really hard question. I mean, I juggle between, when Goku went Super Saiyan 3, when Goku went Super Saiyan, when Cell killed Android 16, and Gohan went Super Saiyan 2. But like, I guess just because those were so long ago, and I feel like they're just common ones that people bring up, I'm gonna kind of bring up one that was, I guess, more of an external factor, if that's the right term. So, Android 17 has always been one of my favorite characters. And I was really happy when he kind of made, I guess a canon return in Dragon Ball Super and, in the Tournament of Power. And I know, me and one of my friends, we would watch the episodes as they came out in Japanese each week. And, we were like, man, it's really cool 17 is back, but I'll watch. He's probably gonna be like the first character that gets knocked out. And then he wasn't getting knocked out. I'm like, man, wouldn't that be crazy if he was the one that won the Tournament of Power? And then when he did win, when we saw Jiren get knocked out and Goku and Frieza get teleported to the stands, we're like, no way, no freaking way. They actually did it. I mean, it was a technicality, but he did win. So I think at least like that's fresh on my mind, and just for something I guess a little different, that is probably one of my more favorite moments.
Got you. I think I gotta side with Vegeta. He favorite character. I think one of the points it was when Vegeta finally went Super Saiyan.
Yeah, no, that
it was when I think that was definitely like my favorite point, because I resonated with him because he was just trying so hard to just be this guy, I want to say protagonist, even though he's a villain, at the time. Like, he was just trying so hard to be that top guy. And that moment when he was standing on rocks, crying tears, androids, not androids, but asteroids. And when he was just like, he's like, I don't care anymore. I don't care. And he just for once in his life, he let his pride go. And he was like, I just like once he let his pride go, that's when he became Super Saiyan. And then as soon as he became Super Saiyan, he brought his pride back. Like, I was like, okay. But it was that moment that I realized, and I guess it was a moment that you realize, like, you can make the goal. Sometimes it's just harder than others. But if you keep pushing it and keep going, you'll achieve it. That's the best way I could look at that scene at the moment in time.
Yep.
One last question before we sign off, because this is, like I said, audience, this isn't our major show, but a brief moment in time to give a tribute to a good man. For anybody who's new to the franchise, what words of advice would you give them?
When you say new to the franchise,
like watching Dragon Ball Z has transcended generations.
Oh, it has.
It is the only anime except for One Piece. I have yet to embark on that journey. My soul has to connect with One Piece for me to watch it.
That's a long journey.
Yeah, it's a long journey.
It is.
But for people, let's say for people who are now tuning in to Dragon Ball for the first time, what advice would you give them?
Well, I would say watch Dragon Ball first. It's important to know where Goku comes from, where all these characters start, because you have to understand how big of a twist him being an alien is. Like, him being revealed as a Saiyan, being, showing the transition from comedy to action is like one of the biggest genre shifts in anime history. So yeah, you got to put some respect on that and watch the original.
Yeah.
I would also say if it's to daunting for you to if you're too intimidated by the fact that Dragon Ball and Dragon Ball Z is like over 300 episodes, I think collectively. You could
Sounds
start
right.
with something small like Jocko, the Galactic Patrolman, which
Mm.
which is a self-contained story that's still in the same universe. And it does circle back around when Jocko eventually shows up in Dragon Ball Super. And I know I know Rich isn't, well, I don't want to put words in his mouth, but I feel like Rich is not the biggest fan of Jocko, but I'm just putting
I
that
don't
out
mind
there
Jocko, actually.
oh, okay.
He's
For
all
some
right.
reason I had it in my head. For some reason I had it in my head that you thought he was annoying.
Oh,
He's all right.
Yeah.
it's his job. It's
Yeah.
just an announcement, totally off topic. Anime NYC now has limited 3-day badges available. I just got the email. So if there's anyone who's interested, rock
Yeah.
out.
Nice.
All right.
Rich, I guess.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, I guess like part of me does want to say like, yeah, start with Dragon Ball first. I guess my only fear is that I've noticed a lot of people that like have started with Dragon Ball like don't like Z as much and stuff. But that might not be everybody though. I guess one thing I guess coming from my experience is like, I guess one of my complaints with the fan base is that it would be nice to see other people, not act this way. Is like stop caring about, stop caring about whether things are canon or not. Just enjoy them for what they are. Like, yeah,
Nice.
obviously
Right.
I understand
Right.
it's more, it is more enjoyable if it does actually kind of connect to, the main story. I get that. I agree. But I think just enjoy it for what it is, assuming you're watching, the whole series, Dragon Ball Z, you're watching GT and movies as well. Just if you don't like it, and if you don't like it because you just don't like it, that's fine. But don't not like it just because it's not canon. That's
Right.
my
Yeah.
my word of advice.
Respect. I'm gonna piggyback off of what Rich said. If saying if the first time watching Dragon Ball, any part of the Dragon Ball series, I would definitely say enjoy. Like you gotta enjoy it. Just enjoy the show. Enjoy the characters. Enjoy the comedy. Enjoy the action. Because when they mean business, when they stand on business, they stand on business. And then when they're being funny, they're
Yes, very true.
yeah. Like I would like for me, I would say, I've never been a fan of GT. I've heard of things about GT. I would say like start with Dragon Ball Z, and then if you want to visit the past, look at Dragon Ball. And if you don't do GT, it's okay. You're not missing much. And then you can hop right into Super, and then you're good. And maybe play a video game. Definitely play Fighter Z. I'll definitely say that. Like
Yeah,
definitely play Fighter
Great
Z.
game.
Yeah.
I mean,
And Sparky
honestly
Zero's coming out too.
honestly, the video games are a good way to catch up if
Yeah.
if you're new to the series, especially if it's like if you go with Xenoverse 2 or
Yeah. Oh, definitely the Xenoverse series.
All right. We only got about 10 minutes left, but we're gonna reduce it to 5. Eric, what do you got?
Pretty much you guys always said. I say also play the video games if you don't have the time to like watch the actual series. The video games are a good way to kind of introduce yourself to the characters and the series itself. Another piece of advice I would just give is for those of you who are big Marvel and DC fans, oftentimes that Goku has been compared to Superman. Whether you agree or disagree with that claim, you can make the case that there are similarities. And if it helps, if you are a big fan of Superman, then I think Goku would be that main protagonist for you. Vegeta also has like certain aspects of Batman, if that helps as well. But in the end, just enjoy the series, give it a shot. I personally believe you should start with Z, since most of the iconic moments does come from Z. But enjoy the series. Play the video games if it helps, and even read the manga too. Like read up on the lore of the actual series, because a lot of times it's the lore that really does paint the picture and actually does draw people in.
All right. Guys, thank you so much for listening. Once again, I want to give a shout out Rich Lanci. You can catch him on Ragaroth. We have Josh Brafman. We can catch him on Skull Star Productions. And we have Erik Mcrimmon. Did I say your name right? I just want to make sure I said it correctly.
Yep, you got it.
You can catch his new manga, Element Drive. I'm saying the manga right correctly.
Yeah, you got it. Yep, you got it.
Okay, you can check all their handles are on the about the staff page of RGN99. Thank you so much, guys. Awesome. All right. Wait, I just ended it. Yep, I just ended it. Wait, I'm still recording. Give me 1 minute. This messed